I'm embarrassed to show this to you. This right here is my emergency meals bin. These are items that I have collected, non-perishable items that I can use to make meals if all I have is a heat source. And it is in desperate need of some TLC and a little refill. I'm gonna show you some of my favorite things to put in here and favorite recipes for meals to make from non-perishable ingredients, and hopefully give you a few ideas. I better start by taking out everything that is still in here and cleaning out all of the crumbs that have fallen into this bin because it sits at the bottom of the pantry. A few years back, I started making these videos around the concept of recipe ideas that utilize only non-perishable ingredients. I have a gas stove and we also have a gas grill. So if something happened to the power, like if we lost electricity, these are meals that we could still make because we would have a heat source to cook on even if we didn't have electricity. But these meals actually come in handy in lots of different situations. And you guys have given me some ideas where these types of non-perishable ingredient recipes can be used. I'm gonna be sharing some of those ideas later on in the video, but for now, we really need to get out the door and go shopping for a few ingredients. Because even though these are emergency meals, I still try to rotate my stock and not keep the items in the bin for longer than a year. So we eat these meals from time to time, and it's time to refill the bin. Now, with these emergency meals, there's lots of low-hanging fruit with things like instant mashed potatoes and canned soups, kind of heat and eat items that you can throw into your bins. What I'm trying to do is take it up a notch and come up with some meal ideas made from non-perishable ingredients that you would never know are made from only non-perishable ingredients. Like if you tasted this, you would think that I was working with some refrigerated ingredients too. One of the meals that I am packing in my emergency meals bin is my mom's tuna casserole recipe, and it calls for Velveeta. I don't use Velveeta a lot in my cooking. I just don't care for it that much. But like I said, these meals are meant to be something that gets us through in a tight spot, and they do have a store brand, but this is one of those items where I'm kind of brand loyal. I don't think the store brand is as good as the name brand in this case, so that's what I'm gonna pick up. I'm also picking up some of this table cream. I find this Nestle brand table cream in an aisle that features a lot of Hispanic brands, and I love using this in my emergency meals bin because it's a way to add some creaminess, like with the kinds of recipes I would normally use heavy cream in, but have it be shelf stable. So I'm gonna pick up a couple cans of that. Standing here in the aisle with the Ziploc bags because I really need 2-gallon Ziploc bags for the way I like to store these meals. I have some gallon and some quarts at home that I can put some things in, but I need the big ones. Found some. Yay. And in the store brand, so they're a little cheaper. Normally with these emergency meals and the kinds of meats that I'm using, I stick with canned chicken or tuna. I haven't been brave enough to branch out to some of the other options like the roast beef or the Vienna sausages, or I think they have like a pulled pork at my Walmart, but I'm seeing something today that I've never seen here before, and that is canned cooked ground beef. I did know that it was possible, or I thought it was possible, to can cooked ground beef, but I've only ever heard of people doing it themselves, like people who know how to can things and they'll cook the ground beef and, I don't know, do whatever to it so that they can can it. I've never seen it actually like in a store before, and I was like, I don't know if I want to give that a try, but there's only 2 ingredients, beef and sea salt. I don't know what kind of beef. It must be fairly lean because it says for 2 ounces, it's 3.5 grams of fat. So it can't be like a super duper like fatty, or maybe they've just drained all the fat before they've canned it, but I'm kind of curious. I think I might need to get this and try a recipe with it. If that cooked ground beef that's canned is really a thing, if it's any good, I guess you could just grab a couple boxes of Hamburger Helper and then maybe like a can of evaporated milk, and that would be like a really easy way to utilize that, but I'm gonna try to get a little bit more creative. Okay, Walmart was pretty busy today, so I decided to go ahead and just finish picking up the items that I want, and I will show you what I got and how I'm using it when we get home. Okay, curious minds, namely mine, want to know, so we're gonna open up this can of cooked ground beef. 28 ounces of cooked ground beef. And to make 28 ounces of cooked ground beef, you would need close to 3 pounds, like probably around 2 3/4 pounds, because it cooks out some of the water and some of the oils. So it's actually not a bad value. I mean, this is a lot of beef, but we're gonna open it up, see what's inside. I'm scared, you guys. I'm scared. This is just totally foreign to me. Open can, open can, open can. Okay, so right off the bat, it does not look very appealing because all of the fat has settled onto the top. It says it's fully cooked. I'm kind of like, oh, do I try it? I don't know, this just seems weird. Okay, I mean, it does just taste like ground beef. Of course, you would need an actual can opener, not use an electric one if this was a no electricity meal, but we're gonna give it a go. I started by putting the ground beef in my pot and letting it heat back up again so that the fat would liquefy and I could break everything up into smaller pieces. And it does look and smell like ground beef, maybe just a little bit juicier, so to speak, just because of the juices and the fat that are in there with it. To this, I'm gonna add 2 cans of petite diced tomatoes, and I specifically got the Italian style because it has additional basil, garlic, and oregano. I'm adding an entire 16-ounce box of orzo because this is a lot of ground beef, and I feel like it's gonna make a lot. If I just put in half the amount, I think it would be really meaty, which maybe is what you like. I was trying to decide about seasoning for this, and I try to keep these meals really simple if I can. So I found this garlic and herb salad dressing mix next to the Italian dressing mixes. It's from Good Seasons. I thought that this might do the trick. Of course, you can add seasonings from your pantry if you have them. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep everything contained in this one recipe. 1 can of evaporated milk, plus at least 1 can of water. I'm gonna start with just 1 can and see how this cooks up. I wanna bring this to a simmer, cover it. I'm gonna let it cook for about 10 minutes. Make sure I'm stirring it every few minutes so it doesn't stick to the bottom, just until the orzo pasta is done. My orzo is done. I did not have to add any more liquid to it. And now I am going to add this jar of Parmesan cheese. It is 6 ounces. So I'm gonna add the whole jar because this is a giant pot. I mean, this makes a lot. This would probably easily serve 8 people. Well, I guess it would serve 8 people. It would easily serve 6, a pretty hearty portion. I'm probably gonna be eating the leftovers of this for lunch for several days. I'm gonna stir this Parmesan cheese in. I'm gonna pop the lid back on. The heat is off. I just want the cheese to melt and for the pasta to finish soaking up the last little bit of moisture before we plate it up. Okay, it does say no cellulose powder, and it says vacuum sealed for freshness. So once you open this, if you didn't use it all, you would need to refrigerate it. But man, that is pretty nifty for long-term storage. Totally optional, but I decided to add some of these garlic pepper crispy onion salad toppers on top of this, just some garlic pepper crispy onions. Maybe just because I thought it would be good to add a little crunch to this, just give it another texture. Oh my goodness, that is good. That is really good. If I was making this though, like on just a regular day, I'd probably use just regular 85-15 ground beef and use maybe a different kind of cheese. Maybe use like a mozzarella or maybe even a cheddar just to make it a little more cheesy. But for an emergency bin meal, it's really, really good. If you like the idea of having everything you need to make a complete meal all in one convenient package, then you might be interested in trying out today's sponsor. It's HelloFresh. I like grocery shopping. I like meal planning. I like cooking, but I gotta be honest, sometimes I also like the convenience of having everything I need to make a delicious family meal delivered right to my doorstep, and that is what you are getting with HelloFresh. Quick, convenient recipes can be delivered right to you. You just choose your meals and select your delivery date, and HelloFresh handles the meal planning and shopping for you. So all you have to do is open up your weekly box of fresh and pre-portioned ingredients and step-by-step recipes to get cooking. But HelloFresh is not just a dinner kit. I have used HelloFresh meals for lunch preps, and now they even offer a kid-friendly lunch prep so you can get everything you need to prep and pack your kids' lunches. They also offer quick breakfast items like these turkey, sausage, and cheese egg bites and these cinnamon crumb cake muffins that my kids are gonna have to fight me for because they look so delicious. And in fact, you can get free breakfast for the life of your subscription when you sign up today. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code MindyFree for free breakfast for life. You'll get 1 breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. Again, that's code MindyFree at HelloFresh.com for free breakfast for life. HelloFresh does offer meals for a variety of lifestyles, including Calorie Smart and Protein Smart. My favorites are the quick and easy meals, some of which come together in just 15 minutes. So again, if you want to try out HelloFresh and get free breakfast for life, just follow the link in the description box below or go to HelloFresh.com and use my code MindyFree. And thank you again to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. I was able to salvage a few of the Ziplocs that I used with my previous batch of meals, so those along with the new ones that I purchased are how I store these. I like to put all of the ingredients for each meal in its own bag, along with the recipe written out that those ingredients are intended to make. And by the way, if you are interested interested in printables of the recipes that I shared with you plus more, I have put together something. It is over on my website. I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. I made sure that I put each recipe on its own page so that if you were to purchase this and print these out, you can pick and choose the recipes that you want, and they're each on their own page so that you can store them easily with the meals that you are putting together for your emergency meals bin. I'm sure you guys already know this, but it's worth mentioning. Make sure that you throw a can opener into your bin as well, a manual can opener, or that all of your canned goods are pop tops that can be easily opened. The first recipe I want to share with you is probably my favorite that I have ever made in this category. It is a creamy chicken noodle soup. I use a big can of chicken breast and also a 14.5 ounce can of sliced carrots. Normally I use just regular dry egg noodles, but I saw these Amish egg noodles in the grocery store and decided that those might be really good in this soup, and the best by date is 12/4/26, so that's almost 2 years from now. I've got a couple of bouillon cubes as well to simmer with all of those ingredients, but what really takes this recipe up a notch in my book is stirring in a can of this table cream at the end, and also a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And what I usually do is just grab a few of these Parmesan packets from like pizza places and toss them into the bag with the rest of these ingredients. The next recipe I'm throwing in my bin is Mom's tuna noodle casserole, and this is a recipe my mom made on repeat growing up. We probably had this at least a couple times a month. It was my little sister's favorite, and I only have to make one adjustment from her original recipe, and that is using some evaporated milk instead of using fresh milk from the refrigerator in order to make this friendly to our little challenge here of non-perishable ingredient meals. I have a big can of chunk light tuna. It's 12 ounces. My mom just used 2 small cans. I also have a 1 pound block of Velveeta and a can of cream of chicken. So basically I just throw all of these ingredients into a pot and stir it over low until the cheese is melted. And then you toss in about 1 pound of cooked egg noodles. You can, if you want, add like a can of peas or maybe a can of mixed vegetables or something. My family doesn't like peas, so I'll just throw in a can of green beans to serve along the side with this meal. I also wanted to include some kind of quick meal that utilizes like a shortcut ingredient. So I picked up this twin pack of the Hamburger Helper 4 cheese lasagna because I've made something like this recipe before utilizing pepperonis, and this package of pepperonis is shelf stable. The best by date is 6 months from now, so I'll have to be aware of that and make sure that I'm making that meal in a timely manner. I also intend to add a can of petite diced tomatoes when I make this, but I made sure I got the no salt added because the pepperonis have a lot of salt. They're going to add a lot of flavor because they're heavily seasoned, so I don't need a lot of extra seasoning for this. I also picked up a quart of shelf-stable milk to use to make this recipe, and I picked this one up at Walmart, but I see these in Dollar Tree too. So basically all of these items along with about 2 cups of water or so should make a really tasty 1-pot pasta. And again, I can throw some canned vegetables in there as well to have a veggie side. I feel like you could go a lot of directions with like a taco soup style meal because there's so many great non-perishable items that can combine to make a delicious soup in that style. I'm going with like a green chili chicken style soup. So I have another 12 ounce can of chicken breast here, 2 cans of beans, and I'm using navy beans and Great Northern beans because these are the kind that my family like. A can of hominy, you can use just regular corn if you want, 2 cans of diced green chilies. To season this, I just have a bouillon cube and 1 packet of ranch seasoning. And I would just combine all of those ingredients with a couple cups of water, let it simmer for about 25 minutes or so, and then again, stir in a can of this table cream to add some creaminess with it. And I'm also going to store a bag of these tortilla strip salad toppers. I find these in the aisle of the grocery store that has all of the salad dressings. And this little bag is just a lot easier to store than a big bag, and we would just need a few on top of our bowls of soup. Now, are these meals the most amazing meals we've ever eaten? Are they the most balanced meals we've ever eaten? No, they're not, but that's not their intended purpose. The purpose of these meals is to get everybody fed when we find ourselves in a less than ideal situation for cooking. And some of you have actually shared some uses for these meals besides just emergency situations or weather events or power outages. You've mentioned that they make really great meals for camping, or if you're traveling with a camper or in an RV, that they can be really helpful for like a college student or somebody who's just starting out in their own apartment. I think these are great porch drop meals because they don't require refrigeration. So if you know somebody who maybe is in need of a few meals to get them through, or maybe they have some sickness in the house and they can't get out and shop, or any other number of reasons why a person might need these, it's really easy just to drop these by. These meals have also come in handy in our household when the primary cook, which is me, is down for the count. Maybe because I'm sick, or I'm caring for somebody who's sick, or I'm just called out of the house on an errand. It's really easy for somebody else in my household to take one of these bags out of the bin. It's got all of the ingredients and the directions so that they can make a meal really easily. The other things that I picked up for this bin are some quick grab and go, ready to eat items. For proteins, I have things like little packages of nuts, small packages of beef jerky. I also have these little peanut butter cups. I like to pair these with little bags of pretzels because the pretzels are sturdier than, say, crackers, and so they won't get smushed as much in the bin. I also have some fruit items. My kids like raisins, so I picked up a few boxes of those. They make lots of different kinds of dried fruit, plus some applesauce pouches, and I purposely picked the pouches that are see-through since I'm storing these for possibly several months. I want to make sure that I can see exactly what's in that package. Plus, there are lots of different bars that make great snacks. You might like protein bars. My family doesn't care for them very much, so I chose different kinds of proteins and just to pick up bars that are more of a carbohydrate, like these Nature Valley bars and these Belvita Crunchy bars. These are two of my family's favorites. I am putting these little snacky items together in quart-sized bags so that they're easy to grab. This comes in handy if we are rushing out the door, maybe to a soccer practice, or maybe we're taking a road trip and we just don't want to stop and spend a bunch of money on fast food. It's also really great for those mornings when my kids have overslept or when we've just had a crazy morning and they haven't had time to pack their lunch. They can grab something like this to take to school for lunch instead of, panicking and trying to come up with something really fast here or having to stop for something along the way. They can just grab one of these bags that have all of these little snacks in them and we're good to go. I store this box inside of a footstool that is in my living room, and it was given to me by my oldest sister for Christmas years ago. She put together some emergency items in shoe boxes and then gifted them to us, so I thought it would be interesting to go through this and see what's in here. We've got the Prepper's Pocket Guide, 101 easy things you can do to ready your home for a disaster. Several boxes of matchers and a couple of lighters. Actually, that's a great item. Travel Medic. I think this is a little first aid kit with band-aids, Neosporin, some bandages and stuff like that. Sewing kit, Advil, which I can't take because I'm on blood thinners. Apparently somebody has already gotten into this roll of Lifesavers, so I better throw that away. Almond Joy, I don't think I'd eat that even in an emergency. 2 Cliff Bars, again, that are probably well past the best by date, and these do go bad, especially if they have nuts in them. Tissues, hand sanitizer. Remember when this was like liquid gold? Candles, always a great thing to have on hand. Batteries, toothbrushes and toothpaste for after I eat the Almond Joy, I guess. Poncho, drinking water purification tablets. Now this thing right here I have used several times. It is a crank flashlight and radio. So this little thing pops out, maybe. Come on now. How come I can't get it? Ow, ooh, it just broke my nail, ah! Ugh, my poor nail. The things I do for YouTube. Okay, I got it. This little thing pops out and you crank it like this. And it will charge the battery, which will turn this into a flashlight if you need it to be. But the other thing that it is a radio. Cheese sauce wrapped in a Mine also has a little USB port here on the side, so you could plug in like a USB cable and then plug maybe a phone on the other end of it, and you could use the crank, you could turn the crank to charge the phone. Now I'm sure it would take quite a while to even get like 1 or 2% on your phone, but sometimes that's all you need to be able to get a call out in an emergency situation. So I will see if they still have this or something like it available on Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description box below. I've made at least 2, if not 3, maybe more of these little emergency meal bins videos. So I'll be sure to leave those linked in the description box below because they have even more ideas for recipes you can make with non-perishable ingredients. Some of them are included in that little recipe capsule that I mentioned that you can find over on my website. And you guys always have really fantastic ideas to add. So leave me a comment and let me know if you have a great idea for a meal or another tip that you can share about putting together an emergency meals bin. Pick out one of these videos to watch next, and I'll see you there.